Hi everyone, hope you can hear me. Can't hear a single thing yet, got some thumbs up, that's good. Really great to be on this stage. It's a pleasure to be on the attention stage of all places. Really great scheduling from Mike there, because we're going to develop that point about outcomes as we go on as well. So, to quickly introduce myself, I'm Jaimesh. I've worked in the industry for about 5 years or so. Well, at LoopMe for the last 5 years, the industry a bit longer. And it's been an interesting time in the ad tech industry. So I was literally talking to friends about this presentation last night, and interestingly, the last time I presented in a room like this, it was the morning after the Brexit vote, and David Cameron resigned 5 minutes before I started speaking. So I think hopefully I'll get a far more receptive room today, but also maybe, given my track record, get in the betting apps and see what you can do there. I guess the point of that story is not just to make myself sound much, much older than I actually am. It's just to point out that I've been lucky enough to work in the industry through some of the more disruptive times, the kinds of things that almost always make the industry better. So it's a privilege to be on the attention stage of all places today. But enough about me. I'm here to talk about LoopMe and ad outcomes. So for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are 10 years old this year, and we are specialists in brand performance. We are a mobile platform using award-winning artificial intelligence at its core. But of all the unique products we have in market, the ones I'm here to talk to you about today are how we use ad outcomes to train and optimize media delivery based on actual ad outcomes and things way beyond clicks or views. So I guess one of the things I want you to start thinking about today is how we can plan and buy differently with things like attention and ad outcomes at the forefront. So a few more bits of LoopMe, highlights from the year so far and the reasons why you should agree that we're an authority to speak about ad outcomes today. So we recently received a transformative investment from Mayfair Equity when they took a $100 million stake in us. So they looked at our tech and they agree with our view that ad outcomes advertising has a potential to radically transform the way we trade and optimize digital media in the industry. We also received a patent for our ad outcomes engine Purchase Loop. Now this is an incredibly difficult thing to do, and it's a significant milestone in the world of real-time optimization and campaign benchmarking. Typically here, this is the first of its kind, and we're the only platform anywhere in the world that can optimize to ad outcomes in this way. We're also flexing our creative credentials a bit more this year. So a few weeks ago, we were proud to be the AR sponsor at Cannes. One of the reasons for this is our clients are constantly pushing us for more innovative formats, and they want us to experiment with things like AR and VR outside of the walled gardens and across the open web. So we're excited to see how these will link to attention and ad outcomes. So, our agenda for today. So over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to talk to you about 3 things that we find really important at LoopMe. Firstly, every single day we're having conversations with our clients about ad outcomes. So we really see ourselves as ambassadors here to educate the market. So we'll define ad outcomes quite clearly for you. We are already trading on ad outcomes. This isn't something we're building towards in the future. We're doing it right now. And today I'm going to share with you exactly how you can all start doing that as well. And we'll also look at how powerful metrics like attention go hand in hand with ad outcomes advertising. So before I do that, I want to take a step back and talk about what our objective for being here today. At LoopMe, we want to empower the industry to feel more confident that there are different ways to trade that take us much closer to clients' ultimate objectives, to trade on actual outcomes like awareness, consideration, or purchase intent. So previously, it's never been possible to do this in real time. We often, as an industry, we've got used to waiting weeks or even months to get results back and see whether our brand activity has been a success or not. But LoopMe are doing this in real time when it matters most, and importantly, beginning to trade on this as well. So, what exactly do we mean, or how do LoopMe define ad outcomes advertising? Well, it's all about swapping proxies for reliable, actionable measurement and bringing tangible brand metrics to the start of the process, things like purchase intent. Why is this important? Well, you no longer have to rely on a click or a view or whether an ad was viewable to judge the success of your brand investment. You can do that in a slightly different way. And adopting ad outcomes advertising into our platform has been the key to evolving how we trade. And I'm excited to share with you exactly how that Purchase Loop product works. Now, a patent-worthy AI optimization engine that can drive ad outcomes for you in real time, it is a complex one, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to walk you through it step by step. And I'm actually going to use the Very Group as an example of an advertiser using this product really well. So they have a marketing objective of driving consideration to use their finance products. They have a very particular target audience, and LoopMe's platform allows them to reach that audience in a really accurate way. Now, for those of you who aren't really familiar with that space, it's now incredibly competitive. Buy now, pay later's massively taken off. So in order to stay ahead of your competitors, you've got to drive meaningful consideration uplift. Once a campaign is live, we survey the population using our proprietary research engine. These are sent out in paid ad spots, are completely non-incentivized, and are GDPR compliant by design. And this is what the industry does for brand research, right? What you would get is a PCA that says, here's your impressions, here's your reach, here's your view-through rate, and here's X% brand uplift. Thanks very much, see you next quarter. This is where LoopMe start to do things a bit differently. What our research platform allows us to do and what differentiates us is that we get sample sizes 10 times those available from comparable brand research partners. And this is really important to us because it allows our AI to interpret and understand ad exposure with statistical significance. What this allows us to do is understand on the next available impression, make a yes-no decision on whether that ad or impression is likely to drive an increase in consideration or a positive ad outcome. And we don't just stop there. Our research intelligence is always on, so we're constantly learning and getting smarter at finding those ad outcomes in real time. And like I said, no one else is doing this anywhere in the world. So, Purchase Loop itself is not a new product. We've actually been perfecting it for the last 5 years, and it's still evolving in new directions, as we'll touch on shortly. But in that last 5 years, we've won multiple awards from the industry, and we've got thousands of case studies. But the biggest step forward for us was actually a couple of weeks ago when we released our brand metric benchmarks. These are cut by vertical and also ad outcome. So what you can see here is the purchase intent uplifts cut by vertical in the UK. So what things like this allow us to do is help advertisers understand what successful brand uplift looks like. So let me repeat that or explain it in a slightly different way. When an advertiser comes to us and shares their budget and their objective, we can help them accurately predict how many ad outcomes they should expect. And this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach as well. Once we've done an initial test with the client, we build specific benchmarks that evolve over time. So how exactly have we turned this into a trading model, and how can we all start doing this as an industry rather than just LoopMe? So what you can see on screen is a traditional media plan. So no doubt some of you are itching to get back to the office because you've got one in your inbox that needs returning. But let's focus on consideration as the metric at the moment. So in order to reach that consideration outcome, the best way to do that at the moment, or the way a lot of us do it, is by planning and optimizing towards video views. It's a tried and trusted method and uses easy to understand metrics or models like cost per completed view. However, what ad outcomes trading allows you to do is convert that delivery into a number of positively influenced people, and also understand the average cost it took to achieve that uplift. Now, as we've just shown you, we have benchmarks as well, so you can sort of understand what to expect. So this isn't something you need to fill into your spreadsheet after the campaign is finished. You can actually brief out the market and give them your minimum ad outcomes expectations. Or if you're on the other side of the fence like LoopMe, you can include this in your proposals and tell your client what you are going to drive for them. Now, this is where we are today at LoopMe with this trading model. We are guaranteeing reductions to your cost per lifted user. And this is a really exciting time for us, and we're excited to see what directions this can go in. But importantly, this isn't patented. So I can see a couple of people taking pictures. We absolutely want you to do this. This is something we're passionate and really want to drive change in the industry, and more of you to adopt this way of working. So there are loads of different directions this can go in. We're just at the starting point of ad outcomes advertising. But let's take a look at some of the learning so far. So we know that by optimizing to ad outcomes rather than media metrics, we know that media will drive incremental brand uplift for advertisers. We've also seen from the research done by Attention Partners, and also that Katie just presented from Dentsu as well, that the longer people look at an ad, the more likely we are to have positive ad outcomes. So we know these two approaches work separately and are working quite well, but we think there's a unique opportunity here to combine the two, to understand the effect of optimizing towards attentive environments and ad outcomes in real time. We're really passionate that this will drive incremental results, and we're really excited to partner with people and understand this a bit better and see where this takes us. So when our clients come to us and they ask us, what do you think the future of ad outcomes advertising is? How will this evolve? What we tell them is that we think that attention and ad outcomes will become the starting point of the digital planning process. But again, we're keen to explore this as an industry and see where this can go. There's still so much more we can learn, right? We don't know how frequency impacts on ad outcomes at this point. We don't know the ideal creative format mix that drives the most efficient ad outcomes. We don't know when diminishing returns set in for both attention and ad outcomes. So it's the kind of questions that we think that we want to answer as an industry with more of us getting involved. So I'm going to start to wrap up now, but going back to the Very Group as an example of a client who has embraced this change and that leading to richer planning conversations from the start, we know that a lot of time and energy is spent looking at traditional media metrics and verification scores. But what if we followed LoopMe's route to do this and followed the Very Group and changed this up a bit and brought attention and ad outcomes to the starting of the process and make verification scores and media metrics more hygiene? We have the tools to do this, as we've just shown you. There's no reason why you can't start doing this right now. Thanks for having me here today. I'm just going to very quickly summarize. So look, we know that we have client briefs in our inbox. There's work that needs to be done. We've been working with the best work we've had for a long, long time. So proxy metrics still dominate the industry. But hopefully I've shown you that it doesn't have to be this way. We can trade on ad outcomes right now. This isn't a LoopMe thing. It's not a Very Group kind of thing or the other partners we've been working with. You can all start doing this the moment you get back to the office. And lastly, we've got a big 12 months coming up. As I said, we're working with AR and VR. We think these are high-impact formats that will drive attention and therefore ad outcomes. But we're also working on interesting new products at LoopMe as well, allowing advertisers to appraise their brand activity across their wider digital plan. We're not quite ready to talk to you about that today, but hopefully we'll be able to soon. But that's it from me today. Thanks very much for having me here today. Sorry, I've clicked the wrong thing. Hopefully, fixed it for me. But I think I've got time for some questions, and if not, then I'll be around during lunch if anyone wants to chat further as well. Hopefully.
Thank you very much, Jaimesh. A round of applause, please. That would be fantastic.